Welcome back everyone. We are live. Another day, another analysis. Let's get it. Hope everybody's doing well. Let me change the music really, actually. Yeah, I'm more used to this. Right guys, we're gonna be starting in about 8-9 minutes. So yep, just waiting for a couple more people to join up and then we'll get started. Once we get I think like 20 people, I'll just start. Like if it's like around 25 past, then I'll just start. Yeah, welcome back everyone. Yeah, 50 pips. Nah, I didn't catch all of it. I had TP there, but I closed here. So 23. Not bad. Just clear out the entire. Let's jump to the monthly. Oh, it's looking nice. Yeah, welcome back everyone. Welcome back to another streams. Yesterday during the members only breakdown, I think, yeah, my computer just broke down all of a sudden, so I had to restart that. But I think I'm gonna make that because we also recorded it live, so if anybody is gonna rewatch that or whatever, just understand there's like maybe a 5-minute gap where just nothing has happened. So just skip that and then you should be good. But yeah, I think my computer just overheated and then just died. But hopefully we'll be okay today. We'll see. $18 people, 19 people. Getting close. Once I see 20, we'll begin. Yeah, Jacob, the stream's not posted yet. I still need to make it public. But I will do later on, so. Cool, we got 20 people. Right, welcome back, guys. Cool, monthly. Finally, something interesting happened, right? We're breaking out of the range, but we don't have a closure yet. We've just broken out, right? We're flipping bullish, but we don't know what's going on, right? You haven't broken the previous monthly highs, but you do have a relatively steep bottom wick, which is a total of nearly 500 pips, right? Pretty nice bottom wick, right? So if price wants to continue pushing up, it definitely can, right? And we're seeing potentially the first bits of it, of the push going up. But until you get an actual closure above any given point, this just could be a top wick breaking for us to continue flipping down, right? So it's difficult to tell at the moment, even though we are very bullish still on the monthly due to last month's closure. Just understand that at any given point you are within this range, it can flip and just come back down to fill the entire range, which is down to here, right? So even though, right, you know, you're starting to come up or whatever, if you break the highs, you know, you just watch out a little bit, right? Depends on the kind of lower time frames, what's happening there, how the whole structure is kind of shifting, how everything's, you know, coming together. Maybe you can get those buys to continue up, but you can also, you know, start thinking about, okay, just keep this in the back of your mind, like if it's breaking the highs, is that just for price to start coming down, right? But yeah, until the monthly closure, we don't know what's actually happening. But let's look at the weekly. So the weekly, we're now 2 days in. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and it's looking like we had this bottom wick. We're looking to come up now. We didn't break these highs, right? But we broke the 2 weeks highs, and we're looking to start coming up, right? After a bottom wick, it's looking like we're starting to retest those highs. As it's doing that, I am still very bullish on the weekly, but again, we have closed respecting this level. Any given point, price could just be creating a top wick to come down, right? Price could just do something like this, just come down, and then you make some lower lows like this, right? So at the moment, yes, I'm still very bullish. Both timeframes I'm very bullish, but just understand that if it does break the highs, is there any chance of price kind of flipping on us, right? Let's go to the daily. Daily was a pretty nice bullish closure. So we broke down on the member stream that this bottom wick could indicate two things. Either because you've closed respecting this range, right? There's a chance that price is just going to come down, right? But you're going to need a top wick to come down. Or price, because this was such a steep bottom wick with a weak bearish closure, this could also just be price, rejecting off of 1965 and looking to come up. And in this case, it looks like it's more coming up, right? But there also is no bottom wick. So how important is this no bottom wick? I would say less important now that you've closed above this range. It'd be great if the next candle could actually come down, create a bottom wick for us, but we're understanding that it's not necessarily going to have to do that because it's quite far away, right? So for example, if you get this, I don't know if this is going to happen, right? A bottom wick for this candle. If that happens, great, we'll get some buys around these sorts of areas. But if it doesn't, is price just going to continue to go up? So this then links to the weekly and the monthly candles, right? So in the past, when you had those weekly those closures coming down, right? So all of these, you're indicating that you're still respecting. Is this week's candle going to just break the highs to come down? So if the next daily doesn't break these lows before coming up and does something like this, which is, it does like small bottom wick like that, then we're worried, right? Because at any given point, this could be price creating a fake out, right? You had all of this structure, price could just fake out to come back into the range, and then at that point you may see some closures to come down, right? So this could happen as well. Understanding that you were expecting price to break above these sorts of areas to grab liquidity to come down further, right? Because at this point you didn't have enough liquidity to come down. Now you've formed some structure, you're going up, any given point you can get a fake out. What could also happen is this next daily just does something like this, right? So a lot of stuff can happen, right? That's why there's mixed biases on all the different time frames. But obviously, in terms of my bias for tomorrow, I'm fairly bullish because you had a bullish closure above the range. Where is it closing above? I would say you're closing above this here. Every time you did close above, you tapped into here, which you basically have tapped, right? You had this wick here, you had this closure above, you tapped in these areas. So how can you continue getting buys up, right? You're still in this range, you filled the range. Are you going to come and now just kind of range here for a while? If you start ranging here, expecting a bottom wick, potentially breaking these lows, just start coming up. If this doesn't happen and you get this, then I'm looking, because this doesn't have a bottom wick, any given time this could be a fake out after creating some bearish structure. So this could just start coming down like this. So it depends which one breaks first, right? If it breaks all the lows and then proceeds to break the highs, we'll look for those buys going up. If it breaks all the highs first and then breaks the lows, we'll look for those sells coming down. Because at the moment you don't have liquidity, right? Based off of this daily closure being so bullish but without a bottom wick. So let's jump to the 4 hour to see where that is. So the 4 hour, you don't have a bottom wick here, which was I think the previous daily, but you also don't have a bottom wick here, and then your current 4 hour is actually respecting this area, right? Somewhere around 2002. Let me just put a level there and then we'll try to refine it. But this level is down here, 2001.74. Whereabouts is that? It's just in this mess of a range here. 1999, Can I come all the way down to here? Maybe. Let's have a look. Nope. Okay, I mean, yeah, you can say that. I'm going to put it around here, actually. So you closed above 2,000, which means that you're in the next range. Last time you did that, you filled this, you had a lower time frame closure above, you filled the range. This came up, filled the range, right? So any given point on the daily, just on the daily, I'm understanding that I'm still bullish, right? And on the 4 hour, it's showing that, we did push up, we're creating a higher high. It failed to break above 2007. So any given point, it needs more liquidity to come up. And what is that going to be in the form of, right? Could be in the form of this, bearish movement coming down. I'd like it to break the highs, right? If it breaks the highs and then comes down, we'll look for sells to continue down. But if price does something like this, where it just doesn't break any of the highs, starts doing this, then I'll wait for a top wick, right? Before it's able to come down. The most ideal position for me is potentially if the 4 hour closes like this, bearish below with a bottom wick, right? And a range to fill, so this range. But the next candle comes up, breaks the highs, and then flips, right? Then we'll look for this to come down. And this would be a very ideal position. Potentially even wick entries on this. Because this is a higher time frame closure below 1992. Every time you've had that, you had this here, you had this here, you had wicks around here, right? So if that happens, I'm looking for sells around here. Right? Does that make sense? So that's my first sell point. And it just happens that, this is also going to be above this range. I might move this down later on based off of the smaller time frames, but this is what I'm looking for, right? If it closes below 972 on the 4 hour and then comes up to grab a top wick and then flips bullish, I'll look for, actually I won't look for the wick entry, I'll look for here, right? But if it doesn't tap all the way up to there, then I'll look for the flip to come down. If it comes up all the way to here, then I'm understanding that even if it wants to push up, right, it's going to do something like this. There's a high chance you're going to do something like this, right? So you're going to make use of that range. But it's slightly more dangerous because, if it does flip, right, so in this top wick situation, what you could be seeing is actually this. So let me redraw all of this. So you had this closure below, small wick here. Any given point, this could be a fake out to go up, right? So if you don't break any of the highs and then you come up, right, this is why maybe taking a wick entry at these sorts of areas is difficult, right? Anywhere here. But once you break out of that, right, and you're slightly above, you can then potentially look for, it still depends on structure, right? Ideally you get something like this right here. All of this, you get a range, then it breaks the highs and then lows, right? But I'm assuming if this is like daily candle or 4 hour candle, you might have some range on the smaller time frame, and then it comes up, breaks the highs. You can then look for the flip to come down or potential wick entries, depending on structure. But that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to also put this as well. So a sell below here, but it's probably going to be a flip of the candle, right? So after a top wick breaking some of these highs. So what would I need to see in terms of price currently for that to happen? I'll need to see, price actually start coming down. You might start rejecting around these areas, but you get a closure below 92. Something that looks like, higher time frame closures below, top wick, potentially flips. So that's those positions. So the sell wicks are dependent on structure, but I'll just put them there for now. In general, though, I'm looking for buys as well. But I'm understanding that for buys, you probably need some liquidity. Oops, didn't want to do that. So last time you failed to break above all of this, right? Failed to break 2008, you came down here, you didn't even break. So you probably need some more liquidity. Where is that? So I'm looking to mirror this, but I'm understanding that every time this happened, right, you grab liquidity down at like these 1950 levels. So is price going to make a retracement all the way back to 1950? I mean, I don't think so, because based off of where we closed, which is within this sort of range here, you probably don't need to come down all the way to here before you're able to drive up. So I'm potentially looking for some positions around here, like 1981 or potentially down to 1972 sorts of areas. I'll say probably here for now. We'll have a look to see what this is in terms of our current time frame. But I'm also understanding you probably have some ranges around here. Like here, these wicks may be what you get, right? A closure above all of this, and then it comes down. That might just be it, right? So these are the two levels I'm interested in, 78 and 71. Cool. I'll say anything within this range is probably good for buys. Anything within this range. Understanding that last time you pushed up, right? You pushed up, you grabbed liquidity here, you pushed up to here. Cool. We're kind of in this area, right? You also grabbed, this is just an area where price typically makes decisions, right? You're in this area after tapping all of this. You came back down to these areas, you still rejected. This rejection was from here to here, which was about 70 pips, 76, right? And then this rejection, obviously, you started pushing back up. So my buy levels are currently around here, right? And you're going to be breaking all of these lows. It's a little bit far away, but that's where I have it at the moment. Buy wicks are safer, I would say, because you have shown that you've, started pushing up, right? So at the moment, these are safe. Whereas in this case, right, you had a top wick and then you started coming down. Even when you came down, this is priced as a strong resistance, strong support sort of area. So at any given point, it could start, making decisions there. It can reject there. So the buys are safer, I would say, at these two levels. So I'm going to mark these up. Buy wicks. Okay, so can you get buys in terms of breakouts above? That's my next question, right? So last time you kind of just closed above 2009, what happened? Right, you didn't close above here, you didn't close above, it's the 4 hour. Let's have a look at the 1 hour. Closure above, you got up to here, you got a closure above, tapping into 2014. These all didn't close above, closure above, tapping into at least 2014 around here, right? And then it started pushing up before grabbing liquidity again. Closure above, pushed. This was also around 2014. So, okay, because of that, I'm going to get rid of this sell wick. And I'm actually going to say you probably can look for a buy here. Because it's getting really close, right? If you get a sell here and then it closes above, then it's conflicting, right? But it seems to me that the buys make more sense because we are currently very, very bullish. At any given point, you can just start closing above. And once you do, you'll probably look to retest these highs. Like, let's get a closure above here on the 1 hour. Like this closure above, though. This was 2011, 2012 sorts of areas. This was price coming down after already making this move. This reclosed, yeah, this is fine. 2009. Even this, top 2012. Okay, I'm gonna move it here, right? But I'm gonna be looking for closures above 2010, and once that happens, I'm okay to take it off the rip. Why? Because I'm understanding the last time, when we were coming up, you had this. I'll go to the 4 hours so it's clearer for you guys, but you had this push. Last time it was coming up, right? You started coming up again, this push, and then even in the middle, you had like all of these which didn't close above, right? And then you also had this push going up, right? So every time you did close above while you were going up, this is what happened. Got a closure above and you just started ripping. So I'm looking for smaller time frame closures above. Like hourly, ideally, hourly would be a great closure above, but I'm understanding that last time you got hourly closures above, this just start driving above, right? If it taps into 2014 first, I can't take anything, unfortunately. But for example, if it taps into like 2011 and it leaves a top wick, I'll look for the top wick to get filled and potentially runners towards runners towards around these sorts of areas at 2020, but you're definitely breaking even towards 2014, 2013. Just seeing like what time frame closure can I actually look for. By the way, I really hope this doesn't happen while I'm asleep during Asian. I swear to God, man. Oh, look at this, 30 minute closure here is pretty nice. All of this, 30 closure, this closure, 30 closure. Yeah, like this just pushed. Okay, so depending on what time of day it is, I also have different reactions to it, I guess. 1981. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm also looking at this, guys. So any given point, you'll get a push up, but you might not push all the way. If you then tap 1918, I'll look for buys. If you start pushing above where it is currently, above like, you know, potentially these sorts of areas. If it comes back down to 1981 after breaking above what we currently have as like a top of our range, which is around 2008 sorts of areas, I would say. Once you get that, yeah, like I think you don't need the buys as far down. You can probably look for it around 1981, 1982. And then as that happens, we'll be looking for the buys to continue up anyways, right? But in general, I would say I'm like, if it's during New York, I'm more happy to take it off the rip as it breaks certain wick areas. So once you get a closure, not like maybe even just like a 5 closure above 2010, and if there's like a lot of volume during that time, I'm expecting price to just drive straight up. Like all of these had no bottom wicks, right? Last time you had these moves with no bottom wick, just straight up. I understand this was 3 p.m. for me in London, which is prime time. You may have had news here as well. But yeah, all of this. Yeah, I would say you may still have an aggro day tomorrow. So just if it does end up just pushing and it pushes all the way up to 2015, 2014 in one candle, and then just starts continue to drive, right? Like it's difficult to get in, right? Because then at that point your stops are like, let's say 2014 here, right? Your stops are 200 pips, so you can't take that. So I would say at that point you're probably just gonna watch price drive, and you can't really do anything about it. But ideally you get a closure above, you get some bottom wicks as you're continuing up. So what's that gonna look like? If this structure starts printing where you get, you know, say closures above, right? You get, oops, let me just redraw this. Let's say you get something like this. Your next candle comes up, right? And then you have a closure somewhere like this. Then you have a bearish candle respecting or something. Like this is the most ideal situation, right? Where you have something like this, and then you have bullish candle breaking the lows, coming up to flip, because we're looking for this push towards 2020 sorts of areas, right? And this is 2030, but like, yeah, 2020, 2023, 2024 sorts of areas. So if it breaks the lows, I'll look for this to continue up, potentially even wick entries somewhere around here. But I'll need structure to form, and the steeper this wick is, the better, obviously. Like if it comes all the way down to like these sorts of areas, right, that'd be great, like breaking some of these lows. That'd be great. Do we have news tomorrow? I'm not too sure, but yeah, that's basically what I'm looking for in terms of any buys above. Sells below, like I've identified as here, but that's if you create top wicks, right? So that's with the flip, right? So what we analyzed here, right? So you had some structure being formed, and then you suddenly just pushed up after respecting in this range, right? So if you look at the 30-minute time frame, you had this, right? You had, you know, your range, you know, potentially this is above here, right? This is your range, right? And you start ranging, and you're still respecting. All of a sudden, you haven't filled the range, came up, grabbed liquidity, probably like an hour or 4 hour top wick, and then you started coming down. You broke the highs first instead of breaking the lows first. So we're looking for those. But yeah, that's what I would say is the deal for today. In terms of what's going to happen relatively soon, I mean, it looks like it might just trickle, or it might, if it finds support at 1998, it's not bad, right? towards around these sorts of areas. If it finds support here, then yeah, that's fine, right? What we'll look for is potentially price after finding support. I will look for something like this, right? If you just range, come up, break the highs, and then a break below, or depending on how high this is, I might even look for sells below this area, right? But if it comes down to this, where it only breaks it like marginally, maybe not even breaking these highs, and it does this, comes down, I can't look for those sells as much. But if you get a celery, so in this, at this point, you get something which looks like this. Sorry. So you get a breakout below, then you get something respecting, and then you then get another break of some of these highs, not necessarily these highs, right? Just like something like this to come down. Then I'll look for these flips instead, but it needs to break some highs again, because if this is like just this here breaking some of these highs, I'm expecting more liquidity to get grabbed. But if this then happens, break of this high and then a break of this high, look for the sells below here. But yeah, I think that is it. Have I missed out anything for today's analysis? I think we're okay. Don obviously couldn't stream today. Yeah, he was busy moving, so unfortunate, but he should be on for tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for tomorrow's stream. But yeah, I'm probably gonna allow some boys to just ask questions.
Hello.
Yo, how are you guys doing? Oh, let me share screen with sound. Realized they probably never hear you guys asking any questions.
Yeah, it's pretty low volume on the YouTube.
Ah, fair. But I think I also need to share sound, that's the issue.
That makes sense.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I think Johnny and I, we both took the same trade going up, and I hit stop loss around these sorts of areas, 2004. And then I took some sells back down, so I'm still down for the day, but for the week I'm not really down anything. It's basically the same.
How is your funded going?
Yeah, I think I'm up like 5%.
Oh, nice.
I think 3 weeks ago I was down 5%, so so yeah, I've made about like 7-8% in 3 weeks. So we'll see. I'm not like in a rush or anything, but
Yeah,
once that happens, it happens, right?
yeah, true.
Did you guys take any trades today?
Yeah, I took quite a few actually.
Yeah.
My first one of the day was it was a fairly big loss, but it was still like within risk management stuff. It was I think it was a 4-hour closure, and it started coming up. No.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at. I think we were all looking at this. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll explain what I was looking for, right? So I was looking for this flip. So I actually took some sells around here, and I made some profits as it was coming down. But in that case, I should have just so I should have taken my own advice that I gave you guys, like I think on Monday or something, where
wait 15 minutes, right?
wait, right? Just wait, like, even like an hour or two, just to see what price is doing, right? Because if it flips and it comes down, cool, maybe we can get into some sells. But if it doesn't, it starts breaking the high, cool. Don't like just force yourself to get into a trade. Just even if it looks like, oh wow, no bottom wicks or whatever, because like these days could very easily become aggro days. So I took the same thing as you basically, and I had entries, I don't know where, but like somewhere around these sorts of areas, and I got stopped out at about 100 pips. Yeah, I think I sold around these sorts of areas.
Yeah, it was in the 15, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just because there was this massive rejection.
This was like, I was like, whoa, okay, cool. If you're closing bearish after all of that, I'm understanding that a lot of this. I think I got into my first sell was here, or like the 15 flip. I think I was looking for this flip, but right, you haven't broken below any given point, just could go up. So So yeah, and also it did make some that broke all these lows, started flipping up. So probably high chance. But I got baited by the 15. That's basically what happened. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also got one.
It's a 50 pip rejection. Like, it's not.
It's not a small rejection, like literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not with any news as well, right? So I was like, okay, if this is your massive rejection, cool. But I guess what we should have looked for, Johnny, is probably like a closure below here.
Yep.
Yeah, a closure
I
below,
mean,
and then
I thought we might only get. I mean, I thought it might be a good entry to go break even at 1992.
Yeah.
In case it did.
That's what I was looking for. But I mean, in hindsight,
Cut bottom of range.
should have looked for this. If it actually was going to come down, it would have no issues doing this, right? And then potentially something like respecting, and then this would be the zucchini to come down. But in any case, we would probably need to see this and then maybe a break of these highs to come down. Something like that.
What one's the zucchini again?
Zucchini is like basically when it's like pushing in one direction, but then it starts coming back down in the other direction. Then you have like a range around here, right? A closure below that range, and then a celery respecting it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just some confirmation that you're actually going to stay below, right? And then even after this, the confirmation we're looking for is a flip. So it comes up, and then flips to come down, and we'd be looking for that here.
Okay.
But this would be much
So
more, like much better, right? Because you had this breakout in fake out, right? I guess on the 30-minute or whatever it was, if that happened, and then you're coming down. But yeah. Connor, did you have a question?
I was gonna say like a celery would just be like confirming the trend, and then the zucchini would be like after it's switching directions, and then the celery's then confirming the opposite of the trend in that zucchini, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
So like once you had this going up and then you start closing below this range, I don't know if this could be a fake out to continue up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you close below, I'm looking for a confirmation one, which is a bullish candle respecting, or some other candle respecting, and then I'm also looking for a top wick to break some of these highs, and then a flip, right? Because if it breaks these highs, it could just continue up like a fake out. But if it then breaks the lows again, then it's probably going to come down.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But the celery is more because like then you have a bullish candle respecting, your next candle breaks that high, so you break some highs and then break the lows. So we're looking for that smaller time frame break of the highs, break of the lows, and then to come down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think this position, Johnny, I feel like could we have even estimated that the stops were going to be here? That's my question. I think realistically, probably not.
I mean, my stops were lower than yours just because I thought if it breaks that point, then it's just going to drive.
Yeah. So I think this
But
was
I
160.
understood why yours were higher, because of that rejection
Yeah.
before. But
Thing
even
is,
now
I
it's-
feel
it's,
like-
it's not even come back to the original points. I mean, I
No.
guess if we'd had stops above the all-time high
All
of this
this.
general push.
Oh, but I mean,
You
at
could
that
have-
point, you would have definitely had a pineapple here, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. You
So-
have to be.
yeah. So I was worried for this, but I was also like understanding, oh, this could happen, right? Where you might need more liquidity to break out of here, because in these cases you tapped into 1971 again, but you haven't here. So I was just potentially looking for that, but I guess you had enough liquidity just from this to start pushing up. I am expecting it to trickle down though, because you like as it's ranging here, you probably need to break the lows and then break the highs. So you will probably get some structure formed here, break those lows to come up. If you don't break any of the highs and then you start breaking these lows, I can't get the sells, right? You guys understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we've
I
talked
mean-
about it enough that like if it does this and then just this, I can't take shit, right? But in the case that this is actually a break of the highs first and then it comes down and like this, then yeah, cool, I can take those. Yeah, so in that case, this would potentially be a zucchini, I would say. If it breaks all of these highs, by the way, like if it just ranges like this and then it breaks all of these highs and then comes down, you might even get zucchinis to come down below here to fill this range, right? Because then you're understanding that this is a range, right? Then by zucchini, you have a celery, so this is another range. So you're getting a range 2 breakout to come back in. And this is not a small range, right? To come back in, look at this, right? A celery to come down. This is 40 pips. So it all depends on structure, right? But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Do you think you could do something similar to like the end of October, where it like rolls back down to 92-ish,
Oh,
and then hits back towards like 2007?
like here? Oh wait, no.
End of October, in the 2 bits that are like
Here, right?
everything above
These.
1992 at the end of October. So literally just
Oh, this.
yeah, this stuff, because it hit like 2010, came down to 1992.
So I think currently with what's going on, right? Like even if you saw all of this, right? You didn't get a closure below, so
Yeah.
no sells. And if something like this happened, cool, I can take those sells. So it makes sense this level, right? I might move this down ever so slightly, by the way. But I really think that if you want to push above, you'll probably need liquidity breaking these levels, like maybe even down to these areas, because like last time you struggled a lot here, right? Sure, like in the past, like these sorts of times, you just push straight up, but that's what we're looking for, and you still haven't tapped into these areas, and you also haven't tapped into these areas, so the liquidity needs to be grabbed somewhere. At the moment, it's not showing us exactly where based off of these pushes, right? It could be anywhere from 1981 all the way down to 1950. We just don't know. But if it's going to just start pushing, we're understanding we don't want to miss this entire push towards 2020 something, 2030, right? Because that's like 300 pips, 200 pips. So like we have to be a little bit more flexible in terms of what we're looking for in market structure. So as that happens, you know, if for example these ranges happen, then you get a break of lows, then you get a break above, then yeah, we'll look for those buys to continue up, and we'll care less about where the structure point is, where the liquidity has been grabbed, because then at that point we're just looking for step 2, which is just the breakout. Does that make sense? Yeah. So
that makes sense.
in days where you don't understand where the liquidity is going to be exactly, just look for breakouts. Works as well. Yeah, cool. Anybody in the YouTube chat have questions? I think we peaked at what? 30 people today? It's not bad. Tuesday. Yeah, Green, you can ask your question whenever you want. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any other questions, I feel like we went through quite a lot yesterday as well.
Yeah, I did.
I'm driving right now, but I was just gonna ask, what made you take your sales?
What made me take my sells? Oh yeah. Let me actually. So I think I took some sells here, and I also took some sells somewhere else. Yeah, I took some sells as I was coming down here. So I think it was based on the 5. So you created this, right? You pushed up. It looked like it was, you know, trying, but didn't really do anything. And then as you were coming down here, I was like, okay, cool. This could be the start of a rejection. And then here, you failed to break that high, and you started coming down here, right? I took a sell as it was breaking this. That's just off the rip, because I'm understanding that if price wanted to grab liquidity here and then start pushing up, then it will have enough liquidity based off of these pushes, but it didn't, right? And it didn't even break this high. So you probably need more liquidity. So I took a sell off the rip here. Target was literally like 19, like these sorts of areas here, which it tapped like on the dot, I think. But I closed full at around here because you had no bottom wick for this candle, and it was already like 20 something pips. So that's what I took essentially.
Okay, I got you. I feel like this looks similar to something I have asked you about like a day ago. So what's the difference? Like, why aren't you scared that it wouldn't flip up and drive here?
Because I'm understanding that in terms of the liquidity that has been grabbed, right? You only had this. You had a 4 hour no bottom wick. Cool. You had to push up, but this doesn't look like a lot of liquidity for us to push all the way up, right? And then also, if you're looking at these times where you pushed up and then you didn't even break above after tapping into these areas, which you didn't, right? You haven't even tapped into these areas, so I wasn't expecting that aggressive of a push. So in that case, once it tapped here and then it started to look like it was rejecting, on the 5 and the 15, I think it was. So on the 5 it looked like that, on the 15 it looked like this, no top, no bottom wick, starts breaking, right? So, and then I think you came up to create some top wicks for it as well, like these, and then it came back down, and I was like, okay, cool. It's probably going to come down, fill at least this range. So that's what I looked for coming down. But in the case that, for example, if you look at the 1 hour, if this was steeper, or if this candle, let me draw it. So where is it? If this candle, or this green candle, or the next one, right? If this had something like this, where it just came down, broke all the lows, then I couldn't have taken those sells, I would say.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then this is more liquidity, right? You grab liquidity here, you grab liquidity again here, you push up. I don't even know. Like, this could just be a fake out to come up, right? I'm more worried about the fake out. Whereas this, you didn't really do any of that, so yeah. Because like, yeah.
That same position when we got the closure below, then the first 5 minute candle had no bottom there, and then I took it on the second 5 minute candle. We made a top wick and then closed below that with some sort of bottom wick.
Are you talking about this?
You took break of the lows. I was looking at a closure below instead. Then I had no bottom wick, so I waited another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Took it as we broke the lows of that 5 minute one.
Yeah.
And then it came down fairly nicely when the 30 minute closed no bottom wick. So then I was looking to close full. Then I closed that as it broke the 5 highs.
Yeah, fair. I think literally the whole idea of this sell was just that you had this push and you're rejecting. So if you want to continue pushing, you're going to need liquidity to come down. So in terms of our odds, right, it's going to come down for either liquidity or it's going to come down because it's going to reject, right? So those are our two kind of thoughts as I kind of entered this trade here, basically.
So when we closed below no bottom wick, was that like right not to take the sell there?
No. I wouldn't say so. Like, if you're just looking purely at price action, I would say no. But I think it's something that Don has been working on, something that I've been testing as well. But it's just taking sells where it makes sense to, or taking positions where it makes sense to. Like in this case, you had this, right? Just made sense that you need liquidity out of this range to drive. So I'm not caring as much for the no bottom wick, because regardless, even if this had no bottom wick and it started coming up, right? So something like this or whatever, I'm expecting it to, the next candle, to either come up or, if anything, create something that's like a steeper bottom wick like that. Right? So I'm understanding that some range will need to be filled, and it's likely this range here. So that's what I took.
Isn't it more like to fake out if you've got the no bottom wick?
I mean, yeah, potentially, but if it did come up all the way, right, I'm expecting that as you break, as you continue up, right, I'm thinking, okay, is this tiny bit here enough liquidity for us to continue up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like if you look at it on 1 hour, then it's like this tiny bit there. I think your 1 hour closed like exactly like below this range here, like this top of the range. So yeah, I was looking for not a mirror, but I'm understanding to break out of this, you need quite a lot of liquidity. Because we were looking, I think when it was like Friday, October 27th, we were looking for these buys to continue up, right? But we never got them, and I think it stopped around here, and then we started coming down. But that same thing, right? Like you will need to tap into like these areas. You might get a rejection here to come up, right? But I'm more likely you're going to get rejection towards these sorts of areas or even down here. But we'll see. Like price can do whatever it wants. Like if it does push up, then cool, and we'll just ride the buys up.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure like what to do with the position after the 30 closed the bottom way. I was thinking I had a decent position. So I was thinking, can I survive the top wick and then the break the lows again?
Yeah. So let me just. So your entry was right here.
Yeah, it was below. Yeah, it was below that candle line. Yeah.
Yeah. So your 30 closure. You would have hit break even. So. I would say as a close, no bottom wick, I probably would have just closed full, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's a higher time frame closure, which is relatively, that's a pretty thick candle, bro. Like, any given point, that could be the fake out. You're closing back into this range, but that's what I was expecting, right? The fill of 2000. So as you filled and then you closed below with no bottom wick, yeah, it could just drive back up.
Okay.
Yeah, but if it closed no bottom wick, like, somewhere around here, 2001, then I'll look for the bottom wick tapping into 2000 before getting out, and I'll probably, as it's creating that bottom wick, I'll put my stops to that flip of the candle.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I would look for.
Thank you.
So green comes on, says, when can I ask my question, and then dips. Nice.
Can you unmute Jacob?
Yeah. Jacob just has his hand up the entire time. Sup? Oh, and he just muted himself. Okay, I'm just gonna raise his hand. Okay, he's just he wants an unmute again. Sup?
I was testing the settings to see if you changed it yet so I can unmute it. But no, I was just gonna say, I feel like today was one of those Wix. Can you explain Wix's buy above 2001, and then
I have no idea what.
How could you have took buys?
What was this Asian last night?
No. He
buy
took them
above
in New York.
2001. There's a closure above 2000 on 30.
2000.
That's probably what he looked at.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I just want to make sure.
I mean, as you got all of this, you understand. You just pushed so aggressively above. I don't know if I would have taken it actually. I mean, you did close above here. Every time you did close it, was it above here? Closure above, yeah. Okay, if you closed above here, you probably have an advantage point, which is this wick here, or like what is the top of the range, like somewhere around here. So 25, or even this.
Yeah, he was looking at 2004.
Even this is 13 pips, so that's pretty good in terms of your advantage point. Like, yeah, you could come up to fill this. I mean, it's not bad. Because I guess what he was looking for price to mirror is this, right? As it just pushed so aggressively up. So when it typically fills one entire range and then breaks out of the next, you're probably going to fill the next range. So that's what we looked for. I guess that's what he looked for here. So you fill this entire range. As you're breaking out of it, probably look for a buy to continue to fill that range. Because it's so aggressive, right?
What do you mean by?
And could you have got any buzz?
So what do you mean by? Yeah, it fills one range.
Yeah. So for example, right, in this case, you had some range. You broke the lows. You came up, broke these highs. You filled this range up to 2000, right? Normally, if price starts, really rejecting, right, what you'll see is probably it fills up to the range and doesn't break above, like this case, right, where it has that wick and then it's starting to come down because then it's rejecting off of this point. Or you'll see potentially price, like say it filled this entire range, it'll do this and then really quickly come back in and then do something like this in terms of like a fake out. And you probably don't get a closure above a lot of the times. If you do get a closure, it's likely something that's a no top wick. But in this case, you kind of you've closed above all of this. You're pushing very hard, and then you closed above. You're probably like you closed above this, which I would say is the main thing, like this, because you failed to close above the last time, and then you came down to grab all this liquidity. So if you go back to the daily time frame, you're now breaking this high, right? So as you're breaking this high and these, I'm understanding that, okay, you're probably going to continue, and a break above this wick as well to continue is probably not too bad. That's what I would have taken. I don't know if I would have taken the exact same buy, but yeah. Yeah, your 30 closed like that, your 15. You also had this massive rejection, right? So you came up, like, I think what you could say this was it actually pushed up, grabbed more liquidity, and then came up. Because I could draw this candle in a different way, and it will suddenly make sense to you guys. So if I draw this candle in this form, so like if it was this, right? Got to push. Next candle pushed like this. Right, let's just say, like, you know, the 5, the 15, or whatever just happened in different times, right? So then it just came back down, something like this, and then you just got, oops, a closure above. Essentially what happened, right? I just drew this slightly differently.
Yeah.
Right? So as this is happening, you just understand this is probably liquidity to start going up. So this whole part of this is probably liquidity, and you're actually, you know, moving up. Like on the 5, that's what it looks like a fake out to go up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, cool guys. Any other questions? If not, I'm probably gonna end it around here. And yeah, new day, new trades. Just look for some more setups, see if it plays out. That's about it. As long as you have your account, it's all good.
Yep.
Jacob's got another question. So,
hold up, let me see. I just got home right now, so I gotta check my chart.
okay.
What was I looking at here?
Can everybody on the YouTube stream actually hear the Zoom as well, by the way? Just checking. When is Comics open? So it's Comex open.
Okay, so like last night, if you want to go to like the 30 or like the 15,
the 30
or like just right here. Once
Okay.
we were here, I forgot. I drew out my levels, and then I had a buy wick level right here. I don't know if that did that make sense? I forgot what levels I was even looking at, but
I mean, it depends on structure, right? If you started, I would have probably liked to see some more range here, because you never came down. I guess it was okay. Like you had this range, right? You broke these lows. The buys here probably were not too bad, but I think the main thing stopping you was the 4 hour had no bottom wick. Right, because you just rejected off of this level. If you got into a buy at any given point, I was looking for sells here, right? And I took some sells to come down, but any given point, this 4 hour could have flipped to come down.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, I think that's
Bro,
it.
is it only the host of Zoom who can do the annotations, like the candle things, like when you can do that?
I think you can probably do it as well.
I don't see the setting on here, bro.
So if you click the pen and you go to rectangle fill, start drawing
The
them.
pen.
Yeah.
No, try it tomorrow or try it.
Yeah,
in
Johnny's
Josh's
done it.
room. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Sounds like a
I
you
like
problem,
it,
mate.
Bro, wait, what?
Yo, it's
The
a skill
pen? I don't
diff.
see
It's a
that.
skill diff. It's not. Man.
Oh
That's,
yeah,
Sort it out. Sort it out.
yeah. Here we are. See,
Yeah. Look.
Wait, what do you guys? What's wrong? I only see draw, and it's a
Bruh.
pencil.
yeah, and then you click on the pencil, and then it comes up with more options, and
Yeah,
then you have
man.
shapes, and it's the
I never
it's the
double clicked
fill
it.
correct. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know this existed until he just said. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to do some
Nice,
studying before
bro.
this. But yeah, start using
I've
that.
been
It's
wanting
quite
to
useful.
do this forever.
It's a lot clearer. Like I either use lines. You'll see me use lines or like these kind of rectangles because the lines make sense in terms of market structure, and the boxes make sense in terms of like what I'm looking for in terms of closures and exact entries. So the combination gives me a lot of flexibility.
Bro, I've been using the pencil the whole time, just normal.
Jesus.
you see,
man.
this is what I pay the money for.
Yeah.
This is way more important than anything else.
Right. If that's it, I'm probably gonna end it around here, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Cool.
Amazing. Cheers for joining up, and I'm just gonna wrap up for the YouTube live. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace, boys, peace.
Yeah, peace. Yeah, so everybody on the YouTube live, thank you very much for joining up. We peaked at like 34, 35 viewers. Yeah, 35 viewers, pretty good for a Tuesday. As usual, if anybody wants to join the membership, exactly like the 3 people, 4 people. I think we had 6 people actually at one point on the Zooms. You can just kind of DM me on Discord or Instagram, EvolutionDVS, and then just ask me about it there. If not, I will see you guys again on these free live streams, which happen every single day besides Monday. But yeah, hopefully this was somewhat educational, and I will see you guys tomorrow. If you are trading Wix's session, by the way, which he is starting in a couple hours, make sure to use a stop loss and just listen into what his analysis is, and hopefully you can learn a thing or two. But incredible. Thank you very much for joining, guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.